Welcome to the Bastard Sermon. Tonight's episode we have Gabe, Kroeger. I'm Patrick Seta.
I'm Cody Hucker.
And I'm Luke Young.
Do I introduce myself after you introduce me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
Give us your stats, a little bit about yourself.
I'm Gabe Kroeger.
Your rarity status.
I have like a 12 strength, but like a 13 intelligence. That's above average, by the way.
What kind of class are you?
I'm a customer service engineer class.
Oh, okay.
They have those?
That's a dual
That's what
class.
it says on my email at work.
Is that a wizard?
I'd like to think so.
I think it's quite magical.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, anyways, we want to talk about all kinds of fun things tonight. We're going to bring up Bright for the third time.
Oh, God. We're never going to stop. This is going to be a regular segment on the fucking Bastard Sermon.
And
we need to ask
week.
every guest's opinion on it.
Yeah.
I haven't had my say about the movie.
We need to hear
It sucks. I think that's good enough.
Yeah, we're going to
We'll get there.
We're going to get to that. We're also going to talk about our favorite games that have come out the past week. And then we're going to have a nice chat of man-to-man with Gabe.
Oh.
Gabe, are you familiar with Man-to-Man?
Oh, no, I'm not.
We'll delve into that in a little bit, but
More
basically,
familiar with
it's
man
like
on man. My mother told me not to do that
It-
when I was a child. I
It's
mean,
mother
that
does,
was her.
though.
It was a different time.
but it's like Would You Rather in a way, but I just make up shit on the spot and make
Pat
it worse.
he's so good at this game. I mean, he might be the best player of Would You Rather ever.
Easily.
Of all time, maybe.
Well, man-to-man.
You'll see. We'll
Man
get
to
there.
man. Yeah. So,
All
what's new, Gabe? Like, tell us what's going on in your life.
Oh, well, as we were talking right before the recording, I just moved down. Oh, thank you. Please continue the applause.
Yes.
No,
yes.
yeah, I just moved. That was fun. I feel like I've told this story a million times, but I haven't told it on a podcast yet. Whilst moving, Pat was helping me with a dolly and my dresser, and he tipped that motherfucker over and carved a hole in the wall of the hallway.
Good job,
This in the
Pat.
building. This
bad.
building.
Congratulations.
Good luck, Pat. Strikes again.
This building's probably like a year old, and now Pat has christened it.
How big is the hole? Is it like somebody
say
kicked
this.
through a door?
It's like an orange. You could fit an orange in there and then have room to like.
It was bad enough for me to actually have to stop myself and tell someone about it. Like, and not like it's not like one of those ones where it's like, oh shit, just keep fucking moving and act like it didn't happen. No, I had to stop what I was doing and wait there and like wait for my punishment from Gabe.
Was it right after that you were like, "Hey, Gabe, want to come take our pictures
For free.
short
for
after-
free?"
shortly
Thank you
after
so much,
that,
by the
yeah.
way, sir.
Oh, no problem. Don't thank me yet. I haven't posted them.
Right. One thing I did want to bring up since we have you here is that Gabe is a phenomenal photographer. If you want to plug your Instagram page, I think everybody should go follow that shit. 'Cause
Oh,
it's fucking amazing.
Well, thank you.
He's also
I wasn't gonna plug it, but my Instagram is hold on, I'm pulling it up because I have to. Okay, it's Spike_McKreeger, and that's McKrieger, which is a name of a character from one of my novels.
I was about to say he's
Yeah.
also a phenomenal author. He's got 2 books out currently, right? 2.
Yeah, I got
Really?
a novel and then a book of short stories.
Yeah, they're amazing. You might enjoy these a lot, actually.
What are the names
Really?
of the books?
These are published books?
Yeah,
That's
wow,
neat, man.
I didn't realize this was a spot for me. Awesome. Okay. Yes. Well, yeah. The first one is called In a Parallel Present. That was my first book that I got published. I mean, self-published, but still published. In the eyes of our Lord. Anyway, no. The In a Parallel Present's about a guy and a girl. They're platonic roommates, and not too spoilery, but spoilery. The first chapter ends with their world getting eaten, and then they have to jump from parallel world to parallel world and have zany adventures doing so.
So it's like is it a take on that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy sort of
I love
genre?
Hitchhiker's Guide. Yeah, it's actually it's believe it or not very similar to Rick and Morty, and came out 1 week after the premiere of Rick and Morty, so I just missed that boat. But
I think you're
swear it
right
was all
on that.
original.
No, there's a fucking billion fans that are super interested in that sci-fi genre. I think you
Oh
hit
no,
it
not
at the
missed the
perfect
boat.
time.
I think it's still hot. I mean, I missed my opportunity to do that first
Oh,
by a
okay,
week.
I got you.
Yeah, but you can find that one on Amazon. But that one's pretty good. But my newer one is a book of short stories. I think it's a lot easier to get into. That is called The Suspenders of Disbelief. Which
Really,
is
really interesting. I've read a little bit of it.
I like
Whenever I have
that
time to
name.
actually sit down, he's got some hilarious stories. One about a spider that's really funny.
oh yeah, there's
Some stories are true though in that, aren't they?
oh Yeah, I don't think I've.
We don't need to spoil it, but it was the first story. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
the very first story is actually a date I went on. Among a couple other things, one part of it's a friend story that he told me once, which is hilarious. But the whole thing is actually all true things that happened either to myself or to close friends of mine. And then I embellish it a little bit because of course it's a fictional story. But yeah, I actually really, of all the ones that I go back and reread, I really like rereading that one. There's also one in there that I'm bringing up only because Pat always mispronounces it. Pat, what's the one that's with the four astronauts?
Tetracosmohydronauts?
Nope, that's not it.
Damn it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's tetrahydrocosmonauts, 4 astronauts who get high in space and go on zany adventures also.
But there's a badass twist to it. Can we say the twist?
I think so. I think it probably intrigues people a lot, and that's how I pitch the story anyway. So these 4 astronauts, they run out of weed and they go to a planet that grows medicinal marijuana all around it. Planet G33, which is like a purple hazy planet. And on this planet, they discover a government base that it has been developing strains to increase the length of one's high. And they've increased it so much to where it's indefinite. But then it also gives you the munchies, a terrible, terrible craving for human flesh. It creates
fucking awesome.
Zombies out of...
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, like you smoke the weed, you get high forever, and then you also crave human flesh and become a zombie.
Oh,
and so
that actually sounds like a really good man-to-man premise.
Yeah, dude. What I was gonna say is this just a short story currently?
Yeah, that one's a short story. I'm actually working with a friend to hopefully animate that. You guys can't see it, but I'm crossing my fingers. That'd be real fun.
I was just about to say that sounds like it'd be perfect for like a graphic novel or animation experience or something like that. That'd be fucking great.
I would love to turn all my stories into graphic novels or comics or what have you.
It's incredibly creative. It's fantastic. You were also working on a new one that sounded really awesome too.
The one that we talked about for like hours while taking a walk at a park.
Yeah, it sounded great though, but it reminds me of One Punch Man in a way. Go into a little depth. Is that okay? Or is it too...
No, it's fine. I mean, it's all copywritten. I mean, I still have to flesh it out, but I have a copywritten like bad copy that's like rough draft. But anyway, it's called The Henchman, and it's about a guy who is a supervillain's henchman, and he lives in a city where superheroes and supervillains are kind of a common day thing and are actually part of the economy. So when like buildings and shit get destroyed, you have superheroes, builders and stuff that would build it back up. And it all kind of just has a cycle. So the main character he didn't graduate high school, so he only has so many options, and one of them is becoming a henchman. Not everyone is a superhero, but the main guy, after a heist gone wrong, he finds that he himself has the power of immortality, and decides that he doesn't really like how his city's being treated with all these heroes and villains, and goes to kill both sides.
Dude,
that
awesome.
sounds amazing.
Oh, you've got so many good-ass ideas floating around inside your head, man.
You guys are gushing.
You've got your hands in, like, all different sorts of
I am finger fucking all the pies, man.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to bring up as well that he's also involved with is another podcast that him and I actually do called Talk Boys.
Talk Boys!
Which is a 90s nostalgia podcast. If you ever feel like delve into that, it's a lot of fun.
If you were born in the 90s, or well, I guess born before the 90s, either way. If you're born in the 90s, you can learn a little bit about those early years, because we are very historically accurate. Like 70% of the time.
Yeah.
A solid 70%.
It's also got a twist where we pretend that Y2K happened.
But it did happen.
I mean, it did. It's a little fuzzy.
It didn't happen. I thought it
we can
did
delve into
happen.
this real deep right now, but we'll save it. But check it out on iTunes. It's a good time. It's free. Talk Boys.
Talk Boys.
It's a good time.
It's just a reflex by now. Just saying that.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about is an awesome game came out today that I've never played personally, but I just got it. I can't wait to play it.
It was re-released. It didn't
re-released. Shadow of the Colossus. You guys have played that.
Oh, like
right?
crazy. Like it was going out of style,
destroyed it.
which it never did.
Dude, I fucking played the original when I was
Try not to
a
spoil
kid.
it. Sorry.
I'm not going to spoil anything
Okay.
for you, but I played the original as a kid, and you know the premise that you're like,
I used to look
capturing.
up all the PlayStation stuff all the time when I was younger because I never thought I would own one until now. It's
Okay, so I got through 8 of these guys, And then my next door neighbor, the piece of shit, fucking broke into my house, stole my PS2, stole like all my games, and left like the shittiest games behind. Like there's the fucking Madden 2002 is still there and shit. And I was like, what the like you? Why couldn't you steal the Madden games? Why leave me Shadow of the Colossus? I'm getting so close. And then I never got to beat the game. I couldn't find it anywhere. So
you
like,
never beat it?
I never beat it, and I never got it on an emulator because there was like a rumor floating around that there's going to be a fucking re-release, and it took them forever. Then they finally put a trailer out, and I was like, oh my god, holy shit, this game's coming back. And then I'm so excited to get it. It just came out today, though?
Yeah, it just came out today.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's
I'm going to
only
go
like
pick this up.
$40
$45.
It's only 6 to 8 hours, right? Something like
Yeah,
that.
about 6 to 8 hours, which is about 2 colossi per hour if you clock it. I think there's about 16 of them.
You were talking to me before when the mics were off about, you said that you beat this game like 2 or 3 times? Or
Yeah,
this would be
2
like
or
the
3
third
times.
time? That's fucking awesome.
It's got a bit of replayability because when you beat it, you get to keep your health and stamina, bars and circles and all that jazz. Actually, I played it on PS2. I played it on PS3, and bought it for PS4 today. That's how much I really enjoy this game.
So wait, this is a re-release?
It is a
Yeah.
re-release.
Holy shit! I didn't even know it came out on PS3.
That's how I beat it. I first played it on a PlayStation Magazine demo disc.
Oh,
That's
shit.
how I first discovered
I
it.
forgot about
that's an
those
old
fucking.
set.
I used to get the
Yeah.
Xbox ones all the time. They came with a bunch of demos and
Yeah.
trailers.
They
It
were
was
the best
always
thing in the
awesome.
world, and I don't know why they disappeared. But that's how I played it, and I didn't get it. I never owned it for the PlayStation.
It's not that
2.
they disappeared. Technology caught up. What do you mean? There's free demos
you
all
can-
day on the store if you go to
But
it.
still,
Dude, I want
It
the
was
disc
really
that's
cool.
gonna. I'm
dude,
gonna
sometimes
lose it
the
and
PlayStation
fucking-
Underground intro songs to when you put the disc in kicked ass.
Do you remember the original PlayStation 1 demo disc that you would get?
Yeah,
I
like
think I had
Jam
Time
Pack, right?
Splitters.
Yes.
There was a Time Splitters 2 one on there.
Oh my
like demo.
gosh, Time
That's
Splitters
how I first
2.
played
Yeah.
Okami. Was on PlayStation Underground demo disc.
I just got that game too, and I've hardly
I'm
delved
gonna
into
get
it.
that too.
It's $20.
That's an amazingly beautiful, well done game.
I have to. We've tried it for a couple of minutes, and then it's hard for me to sit down and get into some games. But I bought it, so I have to force myself through it.
You better.
Yeah, I know. I need to.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of games to
Destroy
play,
you.
including Monster Hunter World.
Yes, you
I
do.
need to play a little bit more of that.
If you have that on the Xbox,
What's
I'll
your
play with
character's
you, dude.
name?
What's mine?
Yeah.
Well, like my character. I just named
Yeah.
it after my gamer tag.
Oh, I'm Dr. Taco.
I love it.
Doc Talk.
Doc Talk.
Doc Talk
That's
boys.
great. Doc Talk. That's funny. But that's a fun game. You hunt dinosaurs. It's pretty bad.
What, Monster Hunter?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a bunch of dinosaurs.
It's not
And
just
dragons.
It's not just dinosaurs. I've
Yeah.
seen a bunch of the playthrough. It's weird shit. There would be
It's
like
amazing.
a raptor with a mouse face. I was like, what the fuck is that thing? And then I was watching my buddy play
What
it.
the
He
fuck?
goes in the middle of this forest area because a lot of the game is like, does linear mean that it follows a path instead of it being a sandbox? Because if
Linear,
that's the word,
yeah.
then that's what I'm looking for. Some
No,
of it's
there's
linear.
multiple sandboxes. You
There's
get-
a bunch of sandboxes,
Yeah.
but the part that I was watching was a more linear part where he goes through this forest and there's a fucking like raptor with the mouse face goes past you and it's like, what the fuck is that? And then he starts chasing it like to kill it because you can kill things, get the scales or whatever the shit that they
Skin it.
drop and skin it and build new items and shit. And
It's
then
Petta's
this
worst
thing
nightmare.
this thing goes out into the middle of an open area and then out of nowhere a fucking a big like stegosaurus looking thing slaps its tail on it and just starts beating the shit out of it and it was like, fuck, now I gotta kill them both. And then something 3 times the size of both of them, like a T-Rex, comes out of the middle of the woods and goes attacking them and then fucking rushes for my buddy's character and he takes off running through the woods and he was like, nope, not a high enough level for that bullshit right now. It was
Damn.
like, did that just happen organically? Like I know it was on a linear part, but he was like, yeah, that shit's not planned. That just like the
Yeah.
animals
So,
interact. Like,
It's
fucking
it's
crazy.
phenomenal.
well, I'm a beginner. So what would you say like the best class is for a beginner?
There's no real class. There's no real class. There's just different weapon types.
Well, yeah.
and,
What's the best weapon you would recommend for a beginner?
sword and shield.
Okay. I remember
Because when you play the game, when your weapons are drawn, you can't use items to heal yourself. You have to put them away. But with the sword and shield, you can keep your weapons drawn
Wow.
and use items.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what's a game that Gabe's got a very interesting taste of games.
I hate Horizon Zero Dawn.
And he also hated
Is that what you're
Inside.
getting
and he
at?
and he also
You
hit
like-
it
You
right.
hate
He
it
did-
inside?
That game is fucking bullshit, and let me tell you why.
Oh,
Okay?
right.
Let's
delve in.
hear it.
Spoilers,
I'll
by
tell
the
you
way.
what.
Spoilers.
Major
Spoiler
spoilers.
alert, the way you beat the game is you press right. For
Yeah,
about 2
but-
hours.
And
It's a storytelling game.
it's
it's
a
not a
storytelling.
gameplay game.
I guess I can't get into spoilers, but man, that ending is garbage.
No, I announced there's spoilers.
Oh, there is spoilers?
So they've had plenty of time to.
Oh, yeah,
pause it.
there's like a flesh ball at the end.
Yeah,
and,
flesh monster man.
Yeah, supposedly it's controlling the boy. Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Why didn't it control any of the people that were around the tank?
You know, that's a really good question.
That is a good question. The game's dumb and I hate it.
I thought it was still fun.
So
it's
you
all
couldn't
it's all
suspend-
implied.
You couldn't suspend disbelief for long enough to just like enjoy the experience for like just what it was. Like I don't know.
I tried to like it, but like a lot of the some of the mechanics I kind of got a little frustrated with, and it's let me try to justify that here because there's the like possession mechanic where you can possess other people. But, like, I loved it much better when Oddworld did it. And Oddworld did it first, and I felt like it didn't get any credit for that. And
You love Oddworld.
Oddworld's
I
a
do love
great game.
Oddworld.
You
Which-
talk about it
fucking
all
game.
the time.
Oh, not all the time.
I've only played the one for Xbox.
They remastered it for
That's
PS4.
probably the worst one.
That is the
Was that
terriblest one.
Oddworld's Munch's Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that
said that
one's
one's
not
bad?
very fun. No, that
It was
that one's
really
bad.
tough.
Get the platformer re-release of the original one on PS4 because that one's like really
Yeah.
good. It's a fucking pain in the dick game. I think if I remember it correctly, there wasn't a difficulty setting in the original. It was just hard as shit.
Yeah, there wasn't.
And now there is or something. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know if the new one does have a difficulty setting. I do. Yeah, I did play the new one. I did like it. I like the old ones a little bit more just because I feel like the controls are a bit tighter because it's all like, I mean, it's PlayStation, so it's not really pixely, but it is kind of pixely.
Right.
And it's got like that like Super Nintendo kind of quality to it to where like when you press forward, you know exactly how much space you're going to go.
Yes.
And which is important for it because it's very much a platformer and a lot of those jumps you got to make right at the edge. But yeah, the original did not have something that all the other games had, which was a quick save. So if you died, you started way the fuck back.
Fuck
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But the second game had it. And the second game was definitely a very much a revision of the first game.
I'm sure that dicked a lot of new generation gamers that are just accustomed to quick and auto saves.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't lose all the progress, but you will lose a significant amount because there are a lot of ways to die. Because that's some of the cool things when I was a kid. It was that like you could pull a lever and then there's a meat grinder that'll just like chop up either a bad guy or a good guy. It doesn't matter, you know. Like and their like meat like flies at the screen and stuff. And as like a teenage boy, I was like, oh boy, this is
jeez.
radical. Yeah, yeah. I like the Oddworld games. What were we talking about? Horizon Zero Dawn sucks. We're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
that is what we were talking about. Go
Yeah.
ahead and get into it. I bought that game and still haven't played it, but I've watched other people play it. And I mean, graphically, it's amazing looking. It
Yes.
looks like an incredible game to just go through and like look at and like. I know that that's not the whole reason to play a video game,
Yeah.
but if something's beautiful, like as far as the graphics go, it makes it like easy on the eyes the entire way through, and you're excited to see what kind of world unfolds. To me, it just looked like it was a sprawling universe that was filled with like these crazy fucking machines that you can like kill and fight and like all. So this was my impression not playing the game. But tell me, you played it and why you like hated
Well,
it though.
speaking of these gorgeous graphics, if you go to my Instagram, Spike_McKroeger, there's a lot of glitches of just monsters just like folding in on themselves and flying around like fucking tornadoes.
Sure.
So
That brings me up to the next thing right after this. He hates Skyrim as well.
yeah,
Watch your mouth.
I gotta hear your breakdown on that, but let's
I
let's
tell
not.
you what,
Continue. I just want to
Yeah.
say let's move on to that next.
Yeah,
That's
I got some things to say about Skyrim. Anyway, but so Horizon Zero Dawn, this game was like praised as like the second coming. Like everyone loved this game, 10 out of 10, every magazine, everything. So I pick it up, and you're shooting arrows at mechanical dinosaurs, which is, you know, not. I mean, like it's about as cool as Turok, if you guys are familiar.
Yeah,
I love the idea of Turok.
Turok was great.
Yeah,
They were hard as shit.
revisit
because they
that game.
I liked it on PS2.
see if you
No,
you still
Seeds
want
of
to play
Evil,
that.
That looks terrible.
Well, not anymore, but back in the day when there was limited game choices, I don't think that you could compare it to exactly. I mean, the concept seems similar, but I know it seems a little goofy. But again, like I'm willing to suspend disbelief for a fun playthrough and an interesting experience that I haven't seen before. And I like originality and the originality of a concept where like the machines have taken over. If I understand it correctly, it's in the future. Machines have
Yes.
taken over,
Yeah.
and the fucking machines have evolved to a point to where they're killing off the human race, and the human race has to go
no.
backwards.
That's
or something.
not really. And
Is it
then-
alternate reality
so-
shit or?
I don't want to like.
You don't have to spoil it.
I'd say like it's one thing to spoil
Spoilers,
it, but I won't spoil it for you. But I didn't like the whole story as a whole, and a lot of it was conveyed without getting any spoilers in there. Conveyed through a bunch of audio logs where like a person will come up and then they'll speak. There is one room in that fucking game where there are 6 audio logs of people, 6 or 7 audio logs of people sitting around a round table, and you have to listen to every one of them before you can move forward. You know what BioShock did? They had that shit play in the background while you were walking back in 2007. Like, it just made some really interesting dumb choices. I didn't care for any of the characters. None of them are memorable. I challenge anyone who's played it to name anyone besides Aloy.
It's kind of hard to compare any game to a masterpiece that is BioShock.
Oh, well, you can see my BioShock tattoo. I wasn't giving you a high five. It's on my wrist. But yeah, I mean, we can air high five.
I have another friend with that same tattoo. That's interesting.
Yeah,
He's also got a really cool Aperture Laboratory logo, which I really love.
Aperture Laboratory? What are you, fucking Dexter?
Laboratory. TT, get out of my laboratory.
Get out of my Aperture Laboratory.
That's right. My bad. You know what I'm talking about. Portal.
Yeah. Okay. I like how Luke chimed in, just agreeing and not saying like, "Well, he didn't defend the point."
You're like,
of Zero
I
Rise
thought
and
you were
Dawn.
gonna say
I thought he was
something
gonna be like, "Oh, I have a memorable character." Instead, he was like, "Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. That choice sucked."
You're like, the one thing,
amazing."
BioShock was amazing. Like, yeah.
the story was decent and good, but like the individual characters besides Aloy, like
Bring it
said,
into the mic, Luke. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like closer.
Like he said, there's not many characters that one would remember besides Aloy. The facial features, the interactions are super. Like,
so you
bland.
do like completely agree with what he's saying.
Yeah, but I love the gameplay. I love the hunting. I love the foraging. I think that's especially why I like Monster Hunter World. It gave you an incentive to grind. You needed certain points to achieve a certain item or weapon or clothing.
Now, my buddy told me that Zero Horizon Dawn, it was a great game. Is it Horizon Zero Dawn?
I like the
I
way
was
you
just
said
going
it.
to let it ride.
I was saying it backwards. I don't fucking know. That title always
You know why you
confuses
don't
me.
know is because that title is gobbledygook.
Yeah,
it
is.
doesn't mean
It is.
anything.
I agree. It's
like
fucking
there's
goofy.
the Horizon Zero Dawn protocol for all the robots.
He said it was a fun game, but don't pay full price for it because like there's not much replayability after you beat the game.
That's
at all.
not true. You
Is-
could get that
not
badass
true. I
armor
played it.
that like makes you impenetrable to everything.
I got
Spoiler
a
alert.
glitch. No. I got a glitch to where I couldn't get the armor. There is one piece that's in, I think, the starting city or like one of the starting towns where the gates are closed and they don't open back up. I got that glitch and I couldn't do anything about it. I never got that armor. I beat the game without it.
Damn, that's unfortunate.
There
suck.
is a video tutorial to show you how to get over that wall because I sure as hell looked that shit up.
Okay. So now we're on this. This is a great segue into why I hate Skyrim.
Yeah.
Skyrim, a game that came out like a decade ago, has the most fucking glitches I've ever had in any game.
Are you playing vanilla Skyrim?
I was playing vanilla Skyrim, yes.
Then yeah, you're right. It's a bad game, but it came out in 2011, which is like 7 years ago. Mod the fuck out of Skyrim, and you'll enjoy it.
I had to mod the game to get past it.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
Here's where I got stuck. There was journeyed up north. I'm like, wow, Skyrim, this is real fun. I can go anywhere. I love Fallout 3, 4, and New Vegas, and 1 and 2, but they're not relevant for this conversation. But anyway, so I was scouting up north, and there's a castle that at the time I had no idea was part of the DLC of the Dawn Guard, I believe it's called. And
I never played that part.
yeah, so there's a big
ruled
castle up there,
hard,
and I'm like trying to get in, and I'm like swimming all around it and stuff. It's on an island, and I can't get in. It's all the doors are like quest locked. You can't even pick them, which is bullshit. But anyway, and so later I get this vampire chick in my party, and she's super powerful and awesome, and I'm like, wow, a cool sidekick, that's actually interesting, and she has like a past and stuff. And I took her on this journey with me, and I took her to the castle, which was her family's castle, and the doors didn't open, and that completely shuts you out of that glitch. I type in like SK and then like the a million Google results for, oh, you got this door glitch? Here's how you get through it. Because everyone for the last like 10 years or however long it's been has been getting this same glitch and they never patched it. This game glitch that completely stops you from beating something you paid extra for. So some of the glitch workarounds include, and I am not joking, I brought this up to someone at work, and they're like, "Yeah, this is how you get by it. You hold a plate up to the door, and you kind of like shimmy along with the plate, and it'll glitch you through, and that works on any door." I don't want to do that. I want to play a game. Like, I don't want to. This is not fun to me. I don't want to find a plate in the middle of this castle island and try to like shimmy through a door. I had
Was
another.
that with the vampires? I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's with the
Okay, then I know a
vampires.
little bit of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you let one glitch ruin a game that's like
Nope, not one
hundreds of
glitch.
hours. I know
I
there's
can
a
keep
giant-
going.
He would
No, I mean, it's a-
Snapchat his glitches, and
Yeah.
they were really bad. I never even had these kind of. I feel like he got the.
You're
the
playing
shit
this
end
on
of the
PC
stick.
or on Xbox?
On PS4, like the
PS4?
new.
I've never played it on PS. I've only played it
Dragonborn
on PC.
Skyrim Super Edition.
I've only played it on PC, so I can only vouch for the PC versions. But
I got
mean, there's
Xbox.
always
I
a
got
way around
Xbox
it on
too.
PC, and I feel like that's the optimal way to play that game if you're gonna play it. Is on PC, learn how to use a mod organizer and a mod editor, and fucking make that game your own experience. Like, it's not even worth playing the vanilla Skyrim game. For a lot of reasons. One, it looks like shit because it's a 7-year-old game. Two, there's a bunch of glitches. Some have been patched. Some, like you said, haven't. And like, you can, like, there's so much like customization. And if you want to make a game yourself, you could. There's dudes that have taken the Skyrim creators and made their own entire games, entire storyline, recorded their own dialogue, and they like Bethesda gives people the opportunity to do that all for free. Like, you get access to the Bethesda workshop and things like that. I think overall, as like a gameplay experience, maybe not the game by itself, Skyrim the game is not the greatest game, but as an overall gameplay experience, Skyrim is an amazing playground for creativity and like originality in gaming. And I think that if you gave it a shot on like a platform like PC and like really like started editing the different like
Xbox.
and explore, yeah, we're on Xbox. Like, I don't know how
Okay,
the
Pat.
PS4 experience is, but
Here's the residuals.
right.
Your Microsoft residuals.
I think you might have a different experience with it. And I didn't encounter that many glitches, and the ones that I did were just like, this is a fucking huge game that's super old. I get it. Like, it's going to
Yeah,
happen.
but can any of you name any characters from that game?
Any characters from Skyrim?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I haven't played it in years.
Yeah.
I can't
know
name
what?
characters from shows I'm
Lydia-
watching right now, though, that I
It's-
love. I just, like, it's hard for
well,
me to remember the names of things.
what I'm
like
saying
The
is-
Jarl of.
Of that
Whiterun?
one.
Jarl of Whiterun? Is that what you're talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, he's got the white runs. Yeah, so like my point being is that I actually gave this game a shot. Like, everyone's been talking it up for the last bazillion years, and I tried to get into the story, and I just there's nothing there.
Did you play the main story?
I tried to.
That's another thing. It's Skyrim isn't about that main story. It's about all the things around that main story that make it like, there's certain things that you'll want to do in the story to get further ahead and get more abilities. That main story kind of sucks though. The most fun that you'll have would be like joining the Brotherhood of Darkness or the fucking, I might have said that wrong. It's been a while since I played.
Dark Brotherhood for sure.
Dark Brotherhood, yeah, and then joining different, like becoming a vampire, becoming a werewolf, or like looking up how you could possibly become both in the game, and then like all this other fucking crazy shit. And like there's all these different like thieves guilds and all kinds of things that you could do outside of that main story that are fun. Like, those side mission experiences, I feel like, is what makes the game for me, and the exploration and the things that you can kill and the creativity and the fucking like not character design, but monster design, I think is really well done. I think the dragons look cool. It's fun to have fucking a dragon fly over and then land, and then you have to kill like, those are the funnest parts of the game for me. Fuck the story, like it's
Yeah.
the world. It's a living, breathing world, and you can make it
It's
better. And
It's all
I
about
don't know.
those 50 crypts that I raided. Boy, howdy, do I like watching corpses animate. This is the game for you.
Well, let's delve
Fair
into the
enough.
next debate. Dun,
Right.
dun, 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 dun. I don't know.
Is that
trying to
Terminator?
Something.
Dun, dun, dun,
How
dun,
terrible the movie Bright is. So we decided we're going to talk about
Man.
this almost every episode if we can.
May I start this off as a virtue to this podcast?
all right, so as a
Let's fucking hear it.
Pat brought his friend on that hates everything that's
Shut
fun.
up.
I don't hate
And then
everything.
he
I hate
was
everything
just
you
like,
bring up.
this fucking guy agrees with me, man. I got to get him on. All right, go ahead, Gabe.
he told me at work.
He was like, I fucking hate a
Here-
game that everybody gave a 10 out of 10 to.
Okay.
I hate another game that everybody
When you
loves.
put it like that, I sound like an asshole.
All
But
right.
you're not.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, Gabe.
No, it's fine.
I just set
That
you up
was
to fail because
hilarious.
I love this Bright movie and I'll defend it. But go ahead. I'll
So
let you. I'll sit back
here's
on
my
this one.
thing with Bright. I wanted to like this movie a lot. You tell me that Will Smith is in a Netflix produced movie that's modern fantasy. I want to see that. I want it to be good.
We good?
We're fine. It was a headphone issue, not on a recording
Okay,
issue.
go
Keep
on.
going.
No, sorry. Now I have a gastrointestinal issue.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll fill it up until you burp out that heartburn.
Is
No
it a
worries.
fart?
No.
If you need to fart,
yeah.
fart directly into the mic, though. That's the way that we
Oh
prefer
yeah.
to have our
Speaking
mics.
of which, Bright.
Damn!
God damn.
You son
So-
of a bitch.
So the thing about Bright is, it had too much action, and I'm sorry to say it again, like a not enough story, which.
Also, shitty dialogue.
Well, shitty dialogue, yeah. Like, really bad dialogue. A lot of,
Oh,
like...
thank you.
Break down
Sorry.
for me what was shitty about the dialogue. Like, give me an example from the movie, like something that had happened where you were just like, "This is fucking like I can't."
Counter argument, give me an example that you liked just of anything that they said.
You didn't
because
like
they
the
didn't talk
beginning?
about anything.
I thought it was pretty hilarious when he went and killed the fairy, and Will Smith was just like, "Y'all just keep doing your gangster shit. I'm only
Yeah.
trying to sell my house." And he walks in there, and
That
they're
was
like,
kind of funny, but was that fairy intelligent? Did he murder, like, an intelligent creature?
yeah, absolutely. And I think that the part of the movie that they're breaking down is that they're like magical creatures have a stigma behind them. They're breaking. I know that it's an obvious story about racism. They're telling a story about racism, but like that's part of it is that there's a stigma behind magical creatures, and they're less than when it comes to humans. And
I got
think
the message of the movie for sure.
right,
It
right,
was-
right.
But like, what I didn't have a problem with, like, oh yeah, there's orcs and they're downtrodden and actually they're people just like us. I like that. I wanted that to work, and it didn't for me because the world wasn't fleshed out enough. Like there was
Had a lot of potential.
it had a lot of potential. There was
Well, wait. Give me the for instances for how it's not enough. Like, what else did you need in that movie to make it more fleshed out as
Well-
a thing? Like, what did you?
yeah. What was up with that dragon in the background, like right in the beginning?
They
Are
did
there-
a lot of things like that where
there's-
they're setting future things up in
Yeah.
the story
So-
that they can explore. They only have so long to break down a story and to tell this
Yeah.
entire.
It's not like they couldn't have made it a Netflix original series, right?
Oh,
with Will Smith
I
and
was about to
paid
say,
him
yeah, Will
fucking
Smith ain't doing
$400 million
no
an
series.
episode. Yeah, that's not
seen,
happening.
You've seen like True Detective and Black Mirror, where they have pretty big shot actors and actresses
For the
Drunk
entire
History.
series,
Yeah,
the whole thing is.
yeah. Why not? Netflix does that all the time.
HBO has swapped actors each season for. the
Anyways.
show.
yeah. So like some other issues I had was like what was up with that there was a I didn't actually see this in the movie.
Centaur, the Minotaur.
Centaur, yeah, the
There
Centaur.
was it was in the scene where the guy has the sword and he's swinging it around wildly in public, and then they have like a group of cops, and then you look at one and you're like, why the fuck is he wearing that? Like he's wearing like an apron or something, and you're like, what
Yeah.
is that? And then you just keep staring at it, and it turns out that it has a whole horse body.
Yeah, and I was like, once I heard that, because I guess it was in the background, I missed it, but like once I heard it, I was like, well, then why is it a big deal that there's an orc on the police force?
Because the orcs are the ones that they were fighting against. They're not saying that magical creatures as a whole are like shitty. They're saying that there's certain ones that have stigmas behind them, like the fairies, obviously, the orcs, definitely, the Dark Lord, the Dark Elves. They're saying that these are the people, and they do break down parts of this. It's just it might have been stuff that slid by you where they're in the. You remember when they're in a locker room in the beginning, right after Will Smith gets back from getting shot, and that dude, the dude with the mustache, typical fucking. Like this, I didn't like this part of it, like where he's like typical cop, like "fuck you, man," like I'll fucking take an orc out and I'll shoot him in the back of the head, like
While they're
fucking
shirts off in the shower
my fucking
room.
great grandparents fought him 2,000
There's,
years ago in droves in Russia. But like when you hear that, you're like, oh, that's part of it. Like there was a war and there's like a whole fucking
that
like reason that
super
people hate these
expository.
things.
3,000 years after the ring was dropped into the into Mount Doom.
I don't know. I feel like parts of those elements that people are saying aren't there are there, and things that they didn't explain are just things that like cool shit that they're hiding in the background for setups for later things.
I want to like it, and I hope that they hear a lot of folks, because it does have a 29 Metascore on. I just looked on IMDb. So
Look on
oh
Rotten
man, my
Whoa,
voice
wait,
just
wait,
cracked.
It's all right.
This might be different now, but I looked on Rotten Tomatoes. The first score that you see on Rotten Tomatoes is like a 20%. Then you click on it and you look at the audience review instead of the critical review, and it's like fucking 80%.
Well, what I was getting
Is
at,
IMDb on the same
You
thing?
talking about the audience review?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's just a lot of dumb people.
well, the point I was getting at was that I hope that they see, like, hey, we came up with this thing. Netflix usually bats 1,000 if I can sports ball it up with analogies for a second. But what are you laughing at?
Patrick's
I just
shit.
I want to convince Cody to hate this movie so bad.
Well, what I was saying is, I
Well,
hope
you
they
have
listen.
the rest of our podcast episodes to do so, because this is going to be a segment that nobody's going to look forward to ever again.
So help me, I won't finish my thought.
I sure.
Go on,
Sorry,
Gabe.
Gabe. Sorry, Gabe.
What I'm saying is, I hope that they look at user reviews and critic reviews, and when they film the sequel, they add a little bit more fleshing out to the dialogue and the story and the world building, all the stuff that the first one really should have been doing, in my opinion, and it just kind of fell flat.
It would be cool if it was just a regular cop story with like involving drugs or something like that, but no, they had to bring in this stupid fucking wand that was only convenient to the plot. And Will Smith, of course, is one of millions of people,
course.
and
This
the
happens
guy
in
that
every
they happen to
movie,
pull
though.
over with the fucking sword.
You're talking about plot devices that happen in every single movie that you're willing to suspend disbelief for in order. And I keep saying that phrase, but that's really what you have to do with video games and movies. Not everything
Yeah.
can be super believable shit. I don't
that's-
think there's this. I know that it's super outside of the realm of possibility, but the way that they set it up, I thought was like it
Sorry,
did
I'm
work
laughing.
really fucking well. And I thought that I don't know when you say
Luke has
like,
had his
poor
hand
dialogue.
up this whole time.
Go ahead, Luke.
Oh no! I was just queuing myself for after you.
You're entering
Okay.
the queue.
I did feel like Luke. I felt that Will Smith carried that movie very good. I thought that he did a
Will Smith is
phenomenal
great.
job,
Like,
like
Yes.
acting throughout the whole thing. It made me laugh. I thought what was a dark story to some extent. I kind of like some elements of it. Yeah, it was predictable, but so was Avatar, which everybody seemed to love and made.
Holy shit, I
fucking
hate that movie.
Multiple $1 trillion. Okay, this goes back to the like. It's an amazing. You just hate good things, and this is who you brought on to defend your point, Pat. All right,
Dude,
I got you.
Avatar is
He likes good things.
bullshit. I do like good things. Let's talk about good things. Let's not talk about
Attack of the-
Avatar.
Gabe, what do you like?
Hey, what's your
I like
favorite movie?
Avatar: The Last Airbender, the cartoon.
I'm with
I'm
you.
not gonna
Fuck yeah.
There
disagree.
we go.
I'm not gonna disagree.
Okay.
Great.
What
No,
other
I
what other
think-
things do you like, Gabe?
Long walks on the beach and chocolates.
What's your perfect Sunday?
My perfect Sunday would So my absolute perfect Sunday would be going out to Waffle House for breakfast in the morning by myself, and then going walking out in the park. Maybe take some pictures. Come home, play some video games. That is a good Sunday for me.
I was talking about ice cream.
Tremendous. I think Luke had one point that he
such a-
wanted to jam in here super quick, but he's got a mouthful of Grippos now.
Yeah,
I'm trying
do
to
it.
get him in.
No, just
come
fight
on
through
in.
the
No,
Grippos.
I'm good. I quickly swallowed. They dissolved.
Yeah, let's bring the crunchiest food in the universe to a
Pat brought
podcast.
the biggest bowl of Grippos. Like it's
Dude.
he emptied fucking 3 bags of Grippos into this bowl. Like here, I got good podcast food. You
We're
get
from
popcorn and like.
Cincinnati. What do you
Crunchy,
want?
What do you
pretzel.
mean? Are Grippos from Cincinnati?
Yeah, Grippos
yes,
are local.
they are.
Yeah,
Really?
they're
I
local food.
honestly didn't know that.
Pat
Yeah,
brought
man.
New Year's noisemakers. Like here, just blow this into the mic whenever somebody else is talking.
My
Yeah,
point
can you
was
smell my breath from there, bro?
the way that you had both just torn apart the plot of it. Like, of course there just happened to be a wand, and of course he just happened to be a bright. Like, you can say that's just pulling apart the plot with a really mean demeanor.
Exactly.
Like I can
exactly.
do that right now with
Counterpoint
Star
on that.
Wars. Like
You
they
could,
could have
but here's
just
the thing.
happened
You could say
had these special
Star Wars-
robots land on this desert planet.
Yeah,
and
Star
you
Wars
could have
just
just
happened
happened to
to-
have special space powers.
Yeah, they just happened to do it in the 70s. We're in 2018, all right?
Okay.
So
Where
you
that
want
plot
some
has been done.
realism in your fantasy
Horizon
films?
Zero Dawn, if I can link the two. It does everything an open world sandbox game has done up to that point, which is part of why I hate it. You climb giant tower things and you scout the whole area, and then you find a bunch of quest markers. I've
Oh,
done
yeah,
that
dude, I
before.
think you're right.
In
All the-
Batman, and I've done that in Mad Max. I've done that in 17 other games, in Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor.
And I've seen so
think
many
it-
buddy cop films with orcs and elves and fairies and wizards. I mean, I can't count how
Not
the
any
endless
good ones,
amount. None, zero. It's the first time that I've seen it. It's a super original concept. How I don't think that fairies and orcs in a buddy cop movie is a fucking
want-
original concept. But combining the two in a way that's believable, almost like End of Watch was. Like to me, at least, I don't know how it. To me, it felt like a believable world. How is it unoriginal? Because you're
So-
saying that. They've done all this shit before? Because
Yeah,
I've
it was-
never seen this.
It was
ever.
called. It's
You've
called
totally seen it.
Yeah, they have. It's called the Dresden Files.
The Dresden Files?
It was
That's
made
a
to-
great book series.
It is a great book series. See, another thing I like, but it's about a detective wizard in modern day Chicago, and yet he has all sorts of like. There's like a book about fairies they're attacking. They're controlling like the elements of summer and winter. You got like a vampire's masquerade that he goes to in the third book. His best friend is this like holy knight, dude. It is a like 15, I think, book series now, and
It's a book series or it's a movie?
They did apparently a really shitty sci-fi original like thing on it or whatever, like TV series, but I didn't watch that. But it's a book series.
Well,
First and
I
foremost.
don't read because I'm a fucking idiot. So.
Oh.
So joke's on you, Gabe.
Yeah, joke is on me. I got egg all over my face. So no, Dresden Files. It's really fun because the detective, like he uses real detective things and he uses magic and blends them together. And he's real snarky and pretty fun to watch him do his thing.
But you've cited one book series, that no other movies, no other TV shows, there's one book series that's similar, and there's nothing else as far as like the
it's
other
not similar.
concepts.
I
It's
feel
much
like
better.
the idea of having the magical, like this is where it draws me in. To be honest, is where it has like the magical creatures alongside with the cops. I love this idea.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
a good
so
idea.
pumped on that idea. I love End of Watch. I was so pumped when I saw it because I was like, oh, it's another cop movie with that director? Fuck yeah, I'm on that. But then I watched it. The dialogue is just so shitty.
What dialogue was garbage other than the fucking scene with the other cops where they're being fucking super copy cops? But like, other than that dialogue, I don't know. There was one that I did like when the internal affairs guys were in there and they're fucking shitting on each other. You didn't like that when it was like, shave your fucking mustache, bitch, as he walks away. Like they're talking hella shit the entire time. You didn't think that was like.
It had. I just think it
Good
had
dialogue.
so
Didn't
much
have good moments.
potential. It just. They were so focused on like the racism aspect on
Sorry,
it,
Luke's got his
But
hand up again.
the thing is that like they took the racism completely out of real life humans, like the black people and white people, Mexicans, things like that. They mentioned one thing about the Alamo, but that wasn't necessarily about the
He
race.
did make a point about Mexicans. Yes, he did. We remember when they're the sword guys swinging the sword, and then the Mexican cop pulls up next to him, and then fucking they just got done with the discussion about are you an orc first, or are you a cop first, and then the dude gets out the car with him, and he's talking to the Mexican cop and talking about how like everybody sees me as just an orc, not a cop, and he was just like, well, I'm fucking Mexican, like the exact
I remember
same
that.
thing.
I remember that.
It
It's
was
just
just like
that was
people
it.
still blame us for the Alamo, and so they did like it wasn't but it's not non-existent, and I don't think that they're trying to say that it's non-existent, but I don't think that sort of racism is as prevalent in today's world, so it wouldn't make as much sense. But if you had fucking orcs walking around with superhuman strength, and maybe that like you got into a war with some dark lord and you tried to take over the entire world, maybe there would be some stigma behind those people still. Luke?
Exactly.
He's got his hand up this whole time. I feel so bad for this sweet little angel.
Perfect transition there, bud.
No, I completely agree. I think that the racism that was focused around orcs was simply because it was focused around an orc cop. You know, like if there was a black guy partner, you know, along with Will Smith, and it was just, just two black cops or a white cop and a black cop, you would probably hear a whole lot more N-words and crackers being thrown around.
Maybe. I don't know that
So-
was the point that I was making. But.
All right, let's move on. We've delved on this for quite some time. We
It's getting dimmer.
expect to hear more about Brighton in the future, people.
Gosh,
'Cause
I
it
will
is-
not be on that one.
Yeah. So, Gabe, what kind of things do you like? Like, what do you like?
I believe I did speak about the long walks on the beach and
No, like,
What about pina coladas?
I was buying myself time. Actually, I do not drink, but I did graduate Cincinnati bartend. What?
that's really cool.
Yeah,
So I didn't know that.
Oh, I have in my wallet here my bartending mixology license that they give you, which is not a real license because you don't need that to bartend.
And they're actually less likely to hire you if you have that because they want to teach you individually how to bartend at most places.
I've heard that.
So
April
let's
2010,
say,
baby.
Killing it.
wow.
Yeah,
No
it's
joke, you
real
have it.
old.
Have you ever
Is that
been a
good forever?
bartender since then?
One time.
How'd that go?
So it was a wedding. It was a wedding at like they place you at a job at the Cincinnati bartend, and I got a wedding at one of those rental halls, and I was bartending with this other guy, and it went really well. It was actually very easy. I didn't do very much mixology at all. I just poured a lot of beers. It was I got a number that night from a girl who I called, and she was like, "Wait, who is this?" And then didn't call me back. She gave me her number and then didn't know who I was. But then, it was all going well, and then at the end of the night, I was putting up chairs, and they're like, "Hey, did you like it?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty good. I made decent money." And they're like, "Would you like to do it again?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they never called me back. And then I got a job working at AAA, like right after that.
Right on. Did you?
I never looked back.
Gabe's got a lot of crazy stories from his traveling.
Oh man.
What's our time right
one
now?
time? We're at 44 minutes, so we're good for another 16, 15. Are you still good for a minute, or do you got to bounce, man?
Oh no. If you guys want to hear some real life stories, I got a handful.
Yeah, dude.
That I keep in my pocket.
Go for it. Just
quite
whatever you
literally
think
in my
some of the
pocket
best shit would be.
On my phone. I have them written here.
Right on. We'll fill up the time until you get to the notes that you're looking for.
Well, okay. I told this one the other day. This one's actually not really my story, but it's still worth telling. I did have a job where I was a manager for janitors. We cleaned schools, and my boss told me this story where we had backpacks that were vacuum cleaners, which I think is pretty standard these days. The guy at my work has that, but they make you look like a Ghostbuster. But anyway,
Do you get the backpack and everything?
did I get to keep it? Oh,
Yeah.
No, I didn't get to keep it. Those things are like
Come
$100.
I'd walk around with that thing everywhere. The little
Maybe like
ectoplasm
200
thing.
Everywhere.
Like,
To
hey
this
guys,
day.
Yeah, why not?
sucking up carpets. So at this job, my boss had one of his employees was this lady, brand new. She was vacuuming all the floors in the classrooms and such, and part of her section was a stairwell. And stairwells and schools, they get a lot of leaves and stuff, and she didn't do her stairwell. So when my boss was walking back and checking her work, he noticed that, and then the next day he confronted her. He's like, "Hey, Brenda, I noticed that you did not do your stairwells last night." And she looked him in the eye and went, "Brenda don't do stairwells." And
Okay.
my boss said that he had to look away because he was laughing. He was like cracking up, and he's like telling me the story, and he's like, and then of course I had to fire her.
Oh man.
Right on.
So is it weird firing someone?
Okay, so as a manager, I did fire some people, and I will say that every one of them, they seem to know it was coming. Like none of I never fired anyone that I didn't like for that for that reason. I didn't fire anyone who just rubbed me the wrong way or anything like that. If I fired someone, it was because they didn't show up for several days and they didn't call, or like I was a super cool manager. I mean, we worked in in schools and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff you got to be careful about. But like this one guy, he was very, very poor, and I noticed that he because this job, man, it was like minimum wage, second shift, only a couple hours a night, which only got worse after some laws got passed. But anyway, so this guy, I caught him rummaging through a bag of student shoes that was in like our staging area where we had all of our mops and stuff. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he like looked all like, "Oh no," like I got caught, and I'm like, "Those are in a bag for a reason. Those are covered in lice or bed bugs, rather bed bugs."
My lord.
Yeah, and he was like, "Ugh!" But like that's the things that I'd have to deal with at that job.
Psychopaths.
He was a nice guy, but he had a rough go. But like. Yeah. For clothes and stuff that kids had that had bed bugs, they would stick them in a bag, and they'd stick that bag in a dryer, and then they'd cook them, and then I guess they give the clothes back to the kids afterwards.
That's all you can do. Before I worked at the bank, I actually almost got a job being a bed bug. Get rid of the bed bugs.
Pat, you're the worst person ever for that job. You fucking hate
I thought it was a
bugs more
sales
than
job.
anybody I know.
It was supposed to be a sales job where I had to go to these places with the bed bug stuff, and I went through a month worth of training to go learn about what to look for and stuff. So if you need help finding out if you have bed bugs, I can help.
Bed bug expert Pat.
Yeah. Just so you know.
Good old bed bug Pat.
So I was like getting.
Can that be Pat's new nickname?
Bedbug
Can we
Pat?
call you that
Don't
for the
call me
podcast?
that, dude.
Bedbug Pat.
They don't call him
God
bed
damn,
bug
it's
Pat for
Sticking
nothing.
already.
They are sticking
Don't
to
call me
you
that.
already.
Don't call me that, dude.
Come on, man.
So I
Don't
remember.
put your bed bugs on me, bro.
Get with the podcast spirit, Pat. That's gonna
So I was getting my last interview for it, and then they told me like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have to go in the house and do this stuff too." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "I said, has anyone ever brought bed bugs home? And he knocked on the table and he's like, nope, not yet. So I said, fuck that, and I didn't do it.
Right, that sounds like some scary shit. But anyways, you have more travel stories and crazy shit?
Well, actually, the one that when I pulled up, because I was talking about working at AAA earlier, this one's pretty good. The last one was a warm up and appetizer, if you will. It's like when you get the spinach and gosh, there are cats in here knocking shit over. Anyway, yeah, last one was an appetizer. It's like when you order queso spinach dip at TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
But this is like the main
Best
course
restaurant.
when you get the steak in. You know, maybe I'll give you some dessert later. Anyway, so while I was working at AAA, it was really snowy a few years ago. I think it was like 2011 back when I was on that. And there was one year we got real bad ice, like everything was super icy. So there were a lot of car wrecks. And as a service driver at AAA, I would have to winch people out of ditches and stuff all the time. And it was very fun. Actually, that was like one of my favorite things. No. It was actually very fun.
Like, you like that job?
I loved AAA. There were reasons why I had to leave. They changed their handbook to screw me. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. You told me.
Yeah, but as a whole, I actually really liked working there and stuff, and I liked the people and everything. But during this terrible winter, while I was winching several folks out, there was one guy in particular who was a very colorful character. He had on Queen City Avenue, he had went into a ditch there. Which was full of a bunch of like bushes and trees and such. So when I pulled him out, his mirror got caught on a branch and actually snapped off, his passenger side mirror, and he was very upset about it. This guy, he was like, man, like he had somewhat of a speech impediment, like probably a very nice guy. It's just the way he said things, it kind of plays into the end here.
Was it like Waterboy levels of hilarious?
Well, I wouldn't say hilarious.
Did you have to cover your mouth from all the times you were laughing at him?
My mama said.
My mama said.
He was just he seemed like he may have had some impediment, but he was like, man, I was just out driving. I just wanted a sandwich, and he was like real upset. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'll get your car out of here, and then when his mirror snapped off, he was just like, I'm really, really angry. And he like started like hitting my chest, like not hitting, but like just like patting me with like these open palms on the chest. And I'm like, it's all right, buddy. Like we'll get through this.
Oh my
and
God.
During that time, like I can't remember if it was Channel 5 or Channel 9. One of the news crews was driving by, and they saw like someone was in a ditch, and they were doing a thing on ditches, or people being in ditches, because of the ice.
Did you fight a special person on the news, Gabe? I'm sorry, finish your story.
I didn't fight him at all, but
I'm just fucking with you.
yeah, he so like the news crew was like interviewing this guy while I'm pulling the car out and stuff and whatever, and I do my thing and I go about my way. Later that night, I get a text from my brother, and he's like, "Holy shit! I can't believe you were on the news." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know I was on the news. Like I know they interviewed the other guy." And he's like, "No, you were on the news." And this guy was like telling the camera, he was like, "Man, I went out in the ice and I just wanted a sandwich. That's all I wanted." And then the camera pans over to the news reporter, and she's like, dead serious. All he wanted was a sandwich.
That's fucking great.
That really happened?
That really happened. I tried scouring. I at the time I knew what news station it was, but I scoured the internet for like old clips and stuff because I never got to see it. But I couldn't find it. I went down like years of like backlog looking for it.
I really want to know what kind of sandwich he was out to get.
Dude, man,
To
Penn
risk
Station
his safety?
sandwich?
Oh,
Dude,
hell
Penn
yeah, buddy.
Station.
I had that today.
Hell yeah, man! Get some spinach artichoke with throw some beef on that, some steak rather.
Nah, dog.
I did the
classic
smart
Philly,
thing
dude.
and
Gotta go
bought
Philly,
two
my
sandwiches.
dude.
I'm
Or
with ya.
chicken teriyaki.
Or chicken teriyaki, yep.
I bought 2 Philly cheese today. 1 for today.
Two,
Amen.
you
And
fucking
1
animal.
for another day.
Tonight.
Savage, you
Hey,
ate
that's
them both
smart.
in your car,
That's
didn't
what you should do.
Yes.
I used to run a Penn Station for 4 years.
And I got them a small.
Lots of
Lots
Good
of
times.
mozzarella.
Dude, how was that? Do you have any interesting Penn Station stories? Like, do you have anything
Oh my
weird
God!
that
Yeah,
happened all
we
the
smoked
time?
weed the entire time. All right, I'm gonna tell this story. So, Dad, if you're listening, you'll remember this story, and I'm just gonna tell you right now. So, one time you came in, shocked me after I just smoked a big fat doobie outside. You came in and shocked me, and my eyes were red as fuck. And you, when you came in, and you scared the shit out of me, and you said let's have lunch, and I sit down and have lunch with you, and I couldn't keep I kept my cool for most of the conversation. Then he's like, take off your glasses. And I did, and he looks at me in the eyes. He's like, "Are you on drugs?" Lost my cool instantly. And I was like, no, you need to leave, though.
Yourself.
You need to leave. So I have a lot of funny stories from there, but yeah, he never caught me. But Dad, if you're listening, sorry.
How
Sorry,
much
Dad.
lemonade did you steal?
I actually didn't. I never drank the lemonade because there's a lot of mold.
Oh, dude, the fucking.
Don't ruin lemonade for me at Penn
Oh,
Station.
how about-
Shut your mouth.
If you
right
see
now.
a black line along the top of that rim, don't drink that lemonade. That's black mold.
There's nooks and crannies they can't clean
I don't
out, and
think
all
I've
these
ever
big
seen it.
things. Like if you get tea and stuff, have you ever seen like somebody poorly wash those things? Because they
Tea's
get like
nasty as fuck.
they get dirty as shit, and people don't fucking give a fuck at those places.
No.
They don't clean them thoroughly. They wipe them down one time, not even with steel wool, just probably a napkin that had piss on it. They found on the ground, and then it's
You
clean.
know this classic Penn Station piss snack thing.
Yeah,
Most of your food is actually treated pretty well. It's just that, I wouldn't fuck with the fountain drinks at any restaurant because of all the black mold. No one cleans the inside of the ice machine because you can't climb up there and do it, or you're
Facts.
too lazy to do it. So
Facts.
we're gonna get into our last section here because we only have 5 more minutes on this. Gabe, it was fucking awesome to have you on here.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, jeepers.
Thank you.
Please
you
come
guys.
back sometime because I would love to hear more of these stories. We really delved a little deep into our pop culture there, but I'd love to hear more stories.
Oh
And,
yeah, I had a great one that I had on deck, but I can stow it. The worst wedding that I ever performed at.
do we have time? Do
We've
we-
got time. Let's do that, and
I
then
was
let's
gonna
do
hope that would entice
We'll
you
finish
guys.
on Man to
We'll
Man. Let's-
okay, so it might be a little bit over an hour, but I'm sure no one minds. All right, so go on, Gabe. Tell us this. But just know we're on a time crunch. Go.
In addition to graduating from Cincinnati Bartends, that was one of the. I had a couple years where I was trying to collect certificates, and one of them was becoming an ordained minister in Ohio, and as such, I performed several marriages. I don't know if I told this story on Talk Boys, but I'll repeat it on here.
You did, but that's okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the worst wedding I ever performed, one of my employees, when I was working at that janitor job, she contacted me several years later, and she was like, "Hey, I heard that you perform weddings. You can marry people." And I was like, "Yeah, but I haven't done it in a while, And she's like, "Well, my fiance and I have always liked you because he worked for me as well." I always thought she could do better, but anyway. Anyway, but they were both good employees. So I was like, you know what? I'll come out of my retirement. I'll put on the cloth, figuratively again, and perform your wedding. And I was like, well, what kind of wedding is it? Because those things, they're really taxing if you get one of those big performances and such. And she's like, oh no, it's nothing like that. It's gonna be a small wedding, just immediate family and such, and. We'll have you say like a couple words, and then we'll have you sign the documents and be on your way. I was like, oh, okay, I can absolutely do that. And it was after work one day at my current job, so I'm dressed kind of business casual. I got a button-up shirt, sleeves rolled up, no tie or suit coat or anything, and I pull up to this place down in Cleves, and Cleves, Ohio, which if you're not familiar is. It's downhill, but
redneck shithole is what Gabe is trying to say without saying it. Continue, Gabe.
Redneck shithole.
Trailer trash. All right, go.
By the way, that was where I was born, Cody.
Oh, well, in that case, it's an upstanding community of very hardworking blue-collar men and women that are just
I was from Upper Cleves, though.
just fucking around.
There's a
My
hill.
whole family's a bunch of redneck hillbillies that I make fun of constantly. I love them. Love you, family, but
Look how quickly he had.
Yeah,
there we go.
Gotta
Damn,
be-
Cody.
gotta be honest.
I am
Anyways,
from Cleves, but anywho, so I roll up on Cleves.
such an asshole. Go ahead.
I just wanted to watch you squirm. It's not a problem. But yeah, so I roll up on this place, and I see like there's several cars parked in the grass, and I'm like, oh gosh and golly, this is what have I gotten Gabe Kroeger? What have you gotten yourself into this time, bold buddy? And stuff. So I'm getting real nervous because I haven't prepared a speech or anything because I thought this was a small wedding of just 2 people. Anyway, so and then like I'm real nervous because I'm like I just have business casual clothes on and I'm freaking out, and then up comes the groom who is dressed in an all white tux, and which was very baggy on him. Like he came out like looking super stylish, and I'm like, I am gonna get like crucified. This is the craziest, most embarrassing thing ever. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? Like I didn't think this was a full wedding. I thought this was whatever. Like you gotta tell me what to do right now, right fucking now, man. And he's like like all right, man, it's all right, calm down, just talk to the bride, and I'll and she knows what's going on. I'm like, she better know what's going on, man. And so I walk over like to the back of the house where she's all dressed up, very pretty, a pretty lady. She's in her bridal gown, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Like, I don't have a speech prepared or anything. And she's like, oh, just do what you normally do. I'm like, what I normally do is I prepare. Like, I get do practice. We have a practice thing and whatever. I'm freaking out. And there was actually this girl. I think I'm gonna stop using some real names. But there was this girl.
Just to let you know, so that you don't have to worry, I'll edit out any names you want me to. Continue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you could,
definitely,
just speak over him, just be like, Bridget, or something like that.
I have a sensor noise that I use. It sounds like a TV sensor noise. Anyways.
Oh, well, those are annoying. Just make it kind of like a real soft, I
make it real quiet.
Anyway,
gospel sounds.
There was this other girl that I'd known previously. Like, she was friends of all these folks, and I'm like, oh, thank heavens, there's someone here I know and stuff. I'm like, I'm freaking out. Like, I don't know what to do here. And she's like, oh, you'll do fine and stuff. She was really really supportive and stuff, and I know her because I actually married her and her husband.
You got married to both of them? Sorry.
Yeah. Anywho, I used to, as a party trick, as an ordained minister, I'd get two people together in front of my camera. I'd be like, all right, closer, and I make the sign of the cross and be like, you're married. Oh, but anyway, it's not legal that way. But anywho, so Jen, who was married to who I married those two together. I was like, you know what? I haven't seen in a long time and stuff. And how's he doing? And she was kind of like being weird and whatever. But I didn't have really the time to digest that. So come the ceremony, which is just a carpet that was rolled out to the from the front yard to the backyard, and all the family was up on the back porch, and there was just a maid of honor and then a ring bearer boy that was down there and stuff. And I'm like freaking out, and because I like hurried up and typed up a speech on my phone, and I'm trying to make it funny because I want to make it entertaining. That's usually what I do with my sermons, is try to make it liven the mood and stuff. And I'm like, oh, we're gathered here today, blah blah blah. These two lovebirds and stuff, and everyone on the porch was like, what? We can't hear you. And I'm like, oh, this is the worst day of my life, and stuff, and.
Sorry, I can just feel your cringe.
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention, because this is important for later. The bride was smoking like a chimney right before this, and doused her cigarette right before getting up to the altar, and
saying, I'm coming.
Hold on, let me put down my Miller.
She's quite a lovely lady. She has a nice voice. But so anyway, so I'm saying the speech. They can't hear me. I'm freaking out. And then I get like, I'm like, well, these two really wanted it short, so let's keep it short and get to the cake. And everyone's like, you can hear a cricket, and then someone in the background like.
Shut up.
And then and I was like, all right, you may kiss the bride, and everyone's like kind of clapping, and then the bridesmaid leans in on me, and she's like, aren't you gonna have him put on the rings? And I was like, ugh.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, and then I'm like, all right, redact that kiss, like,
damn,
put on the rings and stuff, and they put on the rings, and it's been so long, I can't remember if this is before or after, but they said their vows as well, and these was real sweet and stuff and real soft. No one could hear it but like me and the bride. The bride's she said something that kind of surprised me at that moment, which was, I know you'll be good for the baby and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's that kind kind of wedding. That's why
Shotgun Cleave's wedding.
Yeah.
Shotgun, hillbilly redneck.
Yeah, I mean,
Cleaves.
I'm a firm believer that
Yep.
pregnant ladies are all about their own body and stuff, and that's A-okay. But she was smoking like a chimney right before that, and that is bad news bears as far as medical science is concerned.
Dude, did you fucking run off that stage and leep into your car Dukes of Hazzard style?
I still had to sign the documents afterwards. But
how drenched was your back?
I don't sweat that bad. It wasn't
sweat through. I would have been sweating through my shoes, man. That would have fucked me up.
My my pantaloons were drenched from the pee. But no. So anyway, the whole ceremony is over, and I'm like freaking like I feel like super dirty and gross and awful. And from earlier, the girl that I knew from earlier, she came up and was like, "Hey, you did a good job," and stuff. Was super supportive, and I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." And then she's like, we should hang out sometime. You should come over. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, Jerry and I, we haven't hung out in a long time because I was more friends with her husband than her, But of course I knew them both. And she was like, oh, we got a divorce, but you should still come over. And I was like, oh no, thank you. I married you two.
Right. Jesus.
I went home and took a fucking shower. I was so disgusting. Like I felt like the grossest I've ever felt, and that was the worst wedding I've ever been to or performed.
I get that.
Damn.
I get that feeling where you've just been in such an awkward position. You just feel like you're covered in filth.
Yeah, and part of that was the pee-pee.
Dirty.
That was a great story, Gabe. I want to move into the last part of this podcast,
the
which
man
is
on man?
the man on
yeah.
man to pee hole.
Sorry.
Man to butt.
Man in man.
Man in man.
All right, Gabe.
People usually pay extra for that.
Gabriel,
Patrick,
man to man.
let's do it.
It's just us.
All right,
You and I.
these two guys.
And
I
me.
want you to just tell me straight to my face, and it's just us. So you can be honest with me, okay?
Okay, I feel
So
like
I'm
I can
gonna
be
ask
honest
you,
in
and you
front of
have
those
to
people.
pick one of these, okay?
Okay.
Would you rather man to man have, if you were a police officer and you are stuck in a and you're stuck in a car and you have either
He's had an hour to do this one, so it should be great. Sorry,
an
go ahead.
orc as a partner or a giant bedbug as a partner? What would
Is
you
there any
choose?
sort of social
Oh my
stigma with the
God.
bedbug?
So Patrick, let me get this straight.
What would
Whoa,
you pick?
Is
Gabe?
your question?
Now we have man to man here.
Well, I always like to break down Pat's. I always
okay.
like to break down Pat's man-to-mans because they're always pretty interesting in my opinion. Because he always does one where it's like, would you rather?
Yeah.
Would you rather have a
It
partner
seems
that's an
he's
orc?
touching upon the hot topics tonight.
He's just like a person, but he looks like an orc. Or would you rather have a blood-sucking monster parasite that's huge that could fucking kill you as your partner in your car? And it's like,
Speaking of blood, is the orc blooded or not? That's very important to my decision.
What?
is the orc blooded? He didn't
What?
finish
What do
the
you mean by
movie.
blooded?
He has a strong
He
opinion about a movie that he didn't finish.
I've tried watching it 3 different times and I couldn't finish it because it's so shitty.
That's what I tried to bring up earlier, but I was
so
butted
shitty.
out of bringing it up.
But you kept raising your hand instead, and no one
Yes.
could hear that.
Yes.
You gotta tell us, buddy, because I'm sorry. You're all the way at my like a folk.
You're just gonna have to delve into that. But seriously, Gabe, I need you to pick. I need you to pick. If you were a police officer and you had no choice, the commissioner's making you be partners. It's like, I don't have a choice, man.
It's like, here,
this
you
is
go,
who
see?
you're gonna be. All right,
You're
well,
gonna-
you're off the force. And you've always wanted to be a cop, but you have to either have an orc partner who everybody hates.
Is he a nice guy though, Pat?
He's generally a nice guy.
He's fine, right?
They both have
But
the
is
same
he blooded?
personality. Well, one's just a giant bedbug. He's not gonna hurt you, but he's just a giant disgusting bedbug in a cop outfit and with a cute little hat.
Hold on, I gotta have more world building. Is there anything to this world that I'm in?
Well, the orc world, everyone else is orcs, like split up racially. You get what I mean?
Okay, here.
And then the
I made my
bedbugs world,
decision.
instead of orcs or other people, it's just other bedbug people.
I would say the orc because though I probably wouldn't want either one watching my back. The orc was a little bit more nerdy. I feel like I could get him into the Dresden Files if I tried really hard.
But later down the road, the orc also gets you killed
Oh,
within the next
Does the wand bring you
month.
back? Spoiler alert.
yeah.
But when you are
Speaking of things I hate is when death isn't really permanent and they don't have the balls to keep it permanent. But anywho,
very true. Fuck that movie.
My God.
So you choose the orc.
yeah, I would.
All
I
right,
would
let me
actually
ask you
choose
one
the
other
orc.
one, man to man.
Okay, let's
And
go.
that's our last one, and then we got to get going. Would you rather have a comb over for the rest of your life?
Ooh,
A really bad one too, like the ones that
where it's like real wispy.
Like, have you
like
seen-
everyone knows.
What's
It
that
blows in
movie
the wind.
with Bill Murray? He's the bowler.
Broken Flowers? No, I'm just kidding.
With
No one knows what that movie is.
You know what I'm talking
it's
about?
Bill Murray. But,
Lost in Translation?
no,
The Life Aquatic?
It's where he's a.
are you
Groundhog
talking
Day.
about
Miss
Kingpin?
Congeniality.
And Woody Harrelson's in it. He's got one
Kingpin.
arm. Kingpin.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of comb over.
I like that movie. I don't remember it very
Or
well.
you have dragonfly wings.
Dragonfly wings, like 100%, man. I'm the only
God
person
damn
in the world
it,
that has
everybody.
dragonfly wings.
They're only like
Everyone
2 or
would
3
say
feet
dragon.
long. So
Absolutely.
they're not going to get you off the
everybody.
ground. They're really inconvenient.
So-
They're just as fragile.
Does it
Also,
matter.
on like the background of my decision, when you said I have to have a comb over, what I pictured was it was like, oh gosh, this is kind of a deep pool. You guys ever seen Interview with a Vampire?
Of course.
Yep.
Or it might be Interview with
I'm sure
the
Cody
Vampire.
has.
I
He
can't
loves
remember which one it is,
vampire
but,
and werewolf stuff.
yeah. So he so in it, young
Right.
Kirsten Dunst, she's like cutting her hair, but it keeps growing back because she's a vampire, and she's like freaking out. And so I'm picturing like having this comb over, and every time I try to cut it, it like grows back the same, and I'm just like, no.
That happens for this comb over. It's
Oh yeah,
you
that
cannot get rid
dragonfly
of it.
wings.
But you can wear a hat.
Or I
you-
could wear dragonfly wings and be awesome.
You're not
would
going to
you-
fly
Are they-
though.
Oh,
you
that was
sit
gonna be my next
down.
question. If they can fly, that's fine.
No, they're only like 2-3 feet long.
Cosmetically, that would still be baller.
But like, let's say
You
you're
couldn't
going
ride
to
in cars
you're
very
going
well
swimming.
comfortably.
If you're going swimming, you're gonna have your
So
dragonfly
let me get
wings
this.
out.
Your
You're
last
looking-
man to man is: would you rather be a middle-aged balding man,
No,
or
you're at regular age.
Fairy prince.
or you're an X-Men? Like, I don't fucking know. Pat.
guarantee
I think I'm
there's-
going X-Men.
There's an X-Men with dragonfly wings. There has to be.
There are
You
many.
think so?
Named Dragonfly, probably.
Dragon X Fly Man X.
Okay,
Pixie
well,
has dragon
great,
Anyways.
great last man to man, Patrick. Do you want to do a quick plug of Gabe's things real fast?
Well, yeah. So thanks again, Gabe, for
I don't know
coming
if I have
out.
any more.
If you want
Thank
to
you
check
so
him out,
much.
it's Spike_McGregor on Instagram. Check out his books. What were they again?
In a Parallel Present is the novel, and then Suspenders of Disbelief is the book of short stories.
I'm gonna look that shit up myself.
I appreciate
Good
it.
What's
time.
the astronaut short story? The
Yeah, that's in Suspenders of Disbelief. The astronaut story is tetrahydrocosmonauts, the acronym of which is THC. See what I did there? Because tetrahydrocannabinol and
We get it.
it's
You're clever as fuck. Anyways.
Thanks
also,
so much for coming on, man. We
check out his
appreciate it.
photography on his Instagram, and then also our other podcast, Talk Boys. If you enjoyed
Boys!
this, Talk Boys, enjoyed this podcast. Thanks, guys, and see you next week.
Bye, bitches.